Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 cent Nintendo/gaming video where I take a look at some of the stories that caught my attention and give you my thoughts and my opinion. And we got about, actually, wait, six. Yeah, that's right, 6 stories to cover, including CD Projekt Red's or at least someone at CD Projekt Red's response to the possibility of Cyberpunk 2077 coming to the Nintendo Switch. For those, also, let's not forget that The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition just recently came out for the Switch this week. Controversy still surrounding Blizzard and Activision and the whole Hong Kong protest thing, which has now spilled into Overwatch for the Nintendo Switch, though. Supposedly we've had a rumor going around of what the redesign of Sonic will look like in the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog movie. We also got the NPD, and of course we have basically some issues with the upcoming release of Tokyo Mirage Sessions for the Nintendo Switch that not everyone's going to be happy about. And Nvidia could be putting out a new chipset for their revised Nvidia Shield, and it could maybe open the door to the possibility of what a Switch revision could be. Before we get started in any of those stories, we'll start off with the quick My 2 cents, some of the stories that kind of caught my attention, but it's not the big ones, at least not for me, that is, though. The first one we do want to talk about, I'm sure most of you are aware of, is that Fortnite this week basically was gone, at least for a bit, though. Basically, there was a black hole and everything like that, and anyone who tried to log into Fortnite couldn't get in until it was recently revealed that Fortnite returned under the name Fortnite Chapter 2. Though, personally, I'm not really a Fortnite fan or anything like that. The game just never interests me or anything like that. I'm not really big into Battle Royale games or anything like that. But there's no denying that there is an audience out there and so forth. So, some people kind of put it as this was the end of Fortnite. Obviously, it doesn't seem like Fortnite's going away anytime soon, at least, and all that stuff. So, we'll have to wait and see where this all leads to. We also heard about a rumor going around that the upcoming PS5 might be backwards compatible, and it's not only with the PS4, but possibly the PS3, the PS2, and PS1. And this has to do with a tweet that came out, basically reporting the person writing to basically save your disc and all that stuff. Now, we haven't heard any concrete confirmation regarding of that rumor from Sony or anything like that. Still, it would be interesting if something like that happens or not. And last but not least, this just recently broke out on Friday, and that is the fact that one of the person who worked on the Bethesda game Ghost Rider, I believe that's the name, before leaving Bethesda to do like her own thing, recently met with Hideki Kamiya and sort of did a tease about the idea of Okami, maybe a sequel or something like that, though. Again, links in the description. You can read the story yourself. It's from Nintendo Life and so forth. But it would be really interesting if Platinum were to do a actual Okami sequel or anything like that. I think the issue is whether or not, I'm not sure if Capcom still owns the rights to Okami or anything like that. So it would be really interesting if somehow Platinum has gotten the rights back. We've seen situations before where some companies gotten the rights back to some of their IPs, like Techland recently got the rights back to Call Juarez from Ubisoft. I think Remedy got the rights to Alan Wake back from Microsoft, and we learned recently that Sony now owns the rights to Sunset Overdrive, so who knows on that one. So we'll have to wait and see if there's any concrete information, but honestly, I wouldn't be against the idea of Platinum doing, say, like an Okami sequel or anything like that. Alright, with the quick My 2 cents now conclude, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with in regards of Cyberpunk 2077. Now, that is probably one of the biggest games that a lot of people are looking forward to playing from CD Projekt Red ever since they were finished with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. The game has certainly gotten a lot of people's attention. A lot of people are looking up to CD Projekt Red, especially the way they handle DLCs in regards to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which should serve as a reminder of how DLCs should be handled and so forth. Not to mention, we learned that Keanu Reeves will be in the upcoming release of Cyberpunk 2077. And we know the game's coming to the PS4, Xbox One, and we know it's coming to PC, Steam, and also Google Stadia, though. But one question that was asked is whether or not the game could come to the Nintendo Switch in any way. And at least when asked about it to one of the employees who worked at CD Projekt Red, it kind of gave both a bit of a yes and a no in a way. At least that's how I'm seeing it, though. In an article posted on Nintendo Life, though, links will be in the description if you want to check it out, it says, CD Projekt Red probably won't port Cyberpunk 2077 to Nintendo Switch, but will look into it. Quote, it reads, at PAX Australia this week, CD Projekt Red Krakow head John Mamis, M-A-M-I-S, was asked by GameStop about the possibility of the Polish company's next big release, Cyberpunk 2077, getting ported across the Switch in the near future. While anything is possible now that The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition is being released on Nintendo's hybrid system, Cyberpunk 2077 is probably not going to happen. According to what this person said, this person basically said, who would have thought that a game like The Witcher 3 would be possible on the Switch? So who knows? I guess we'll see if we decide to put it on the Switch. If we can do it, probably not. So the way I'm reading it, and again, I could be literally wrong on this though, the way that I'm reading it is that it does sound like they're saying right now they can't bring it, but they're not completely ruling it out either way. I think it's not surprising that obviously they're going to take a look and see if they could bring the game over to the Nintendo Switch though, but I'm not entirely shocked by this statement at all. I mean, when you look at it though, right now I think their main focus at the moment is the PS4, the Xbox One, and of course the PC via Steam, and not to mention the game's coming to Google Stadia as well. So unless they develop it alongside the way Bethesda's doing with Doom Eternal, although now we're learning that Doom Eternal has been delayed and the Switch version's been delayed even more, it's not really that shocking. That said, I'm still not going to completely rule out the possibility that Cyberpunk 2077 could maybe make its way over to the Nintendo Switch. My guess, and I'm thinking, is while it is possible they'll look at the technical issues to see if the technical parts to see if they could bring the game over, I also think they're going to take a look at the sales number of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt on the Nintendo Switch and see how well does that game do on the Nintendo Switch. Did it do well enough? And if it did do well enough, they may look at the idea of bringing it to the Nintendo Switch. Even if they did come out and say, yes, we're bringing it to the Nintendo Switch, my guess is that it would probably be years away before they even do something, even bring it over. I mean, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was released in 2015, and we had to wait 4 years before we saw The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt come to the Nintendo Switch. So my overall take on this, in regards to their statement about Cyberpunk 2077, any possibility of it coming to the Switch, I would say it's not a complete no, but it's not a complete yes either, though. I think they're going to look at the technical issues, but I also think they're going to take a look at, say, the sales numbers of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt on the Nintendo Switch and see how well does that game do on the Switch. Did it sell well enough to convince them to say, hey, let's consider taking a look at bringing Cyberpunk 2077 over to Nintendo Switch. So time will ultimately tell if they decide to change their mind or not, or whether it's truly possible or not. So we'll have to wait and see. But for right now, it sounds like a no, at least at this time, in regards of Cyberpunk 2077 coming to the Nintendo Switch. Either way, I'm still looking forward to the game coming out on the PS4. I have a lot of respect for CD Projekt Red. I like how they handle the DLC situation, and my hope is that they handle the DLC situation like they did with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. They handle it well with Cyberpunk 2077. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to get to part 2, and this one has to do with the cancellation of an event that was supposed to happen at Nintendo's World Store in New York in regards of Overwatch. So we'll take a quick break and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at the whole another problem with Activision Blizzard. This time it kind of spills into Overwatch recently coming out for the Nintendo Switch. Now I'm sure most of you have been aware, have been seeing on the news, Activision and Blizzard has been under a lot of hot water, and this all stems from during a Hearthstone competition where one of the competition people showed their support for the Hong Kong protest that's been going on into China lately, though. And well, Activision's actions, whether you agree with them or not, did not sit well with a lot of people and caused major backlash for them, even going as far as calls to boycott, the upcoming Call of Duty game, to their PR handling of the whole situation, and eventually decided to reverse course on some of the decisions to ban this person or basically give him a lesser of a punishment, but still that that has not sat very well. And Activision Blizzard isn't the only people that been caught in the middle of this. The NBA as well has kind of been caught into it. And now it seems as though Overwatch on the Nintendo Switch may have been caught and also been dragged into this to a certain degree, that is. Now, recently, Overwatch just recently came out for the Nintendo Switch, but apparently it seems that whatever original plans they had for it, such as basically this event or something like that, well, it sounds like that it basically decided 48 hours before the event was going to happen, they decided to, or at least according to Nintendo, they're saying that Blizzard decided to outright cancel the event. In an article from the Structoid, though, it reads, Blizzard cancel Overwatch on Switch launch party at Nintendo New York's. This Wednesday, there were plans for a joyous celebration in the Big Apple. Fans were to meet the people who voiced the characters they love. Maybe they'll throw back some clever theme mocktails. Overwatch is launched on the Switch, and that's an event worth getting dressed into the nines for. Your best hoodie and well-worn Conversy. Apologize if I read that wrong. And now it says, now those fans will be dressed up with nowhere to go. Blizzard has canceled the Overwatch Switch party at Nintendo in New York City. Basically, this came from a tweet that Nintendo of New York put out. Originally, the tweet happened on October 8th, 2019. It was their first tweet. I think when they were talking about it, they said, quote, the first 150 fans to sign up will get to meet voice actors from Overwatch from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Sign up begins Wednesday, 10th, 9th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Present your Warp Pipe Pass at your reservation time upon arrival. You must have a Nintendo account to make a reservation. Supposedly, it was free and all that stuff. And then they followed up with the last tweet that was made on October 14th at 7:59 p.m. that reads, quote, please be aware that the previous announcement Overwatch launch event scheduled for Wednesday at 10:16, I must have read the date wrong before, at Nintendo New York has been canceled by Blizzard. We apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused. The article continues to read that, quote, if you've been following current events at all, not just gaming sites, because this story hit mainstream news last week, you probably know why. Blizzard is under a gun after budgeting some esport discipline action Hearthstone pro player who made a pro-Hong Kong liberation statement during the Blizzard-hosted tournament stream. Blizzard suspended this person for a year and stripped him of his prize money. Late on Friday, Blizzard backpedaled by having the suspension and restoring the winnings. They talked out about that. canceling the launch is probably the purest move at this point. It would have gone over well. None of the attendance would have been on Overwatch. It would be a bunch of voice actors and Nintendo staff taking heat for things they weren't involved with. But BlizzCon is in 2 weeks, and that's absolutely too big to cancel. There will be protests. Apparently, there are reports of some people preparing to protest outside of BlizzCon and all that stuff. There's a subreddit dedicated to the organized protesters outside the Anaheim Convention Center. So, obviously, the Switch version of Overwatch is somehow now caught in the middle of this. And it's very unfortunate that this had to happen. I'm sure there are those who are looking forward to meeting the voice actors and those who are looking forward to seeing, looking forward to meeting them with the launch of Overwatch coming to the Nintendo Switch. But in all honesty, it looked like Blizzard really shot themselves in the foot with this whole situation. Activision Blizzard, to be exact. And it's really has done some damage to them big time on the whole situation. In fact, there are reports coming out that supposedly that Nintendo is not advertising Overwatch as much as they are with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which is, if that's true and all that stuff, then obviously they don't want to be caught in the middle of this. Not to mention, we know Nintendo is teaming up with Tencent to release the Nintendo Switch in China, which was announced earlier this year, and we haven't heard anything else. Most likely that it would not be wise for Nintendo to even talk about it, given the whole situation in Hong Kong and given the backlash Activision Blizzard is facing right now. I mean, I will say it kind of sucks that this event was canceled, but I also understand why. Right now, Activision Blizzard is not in a great spot at this time, and it would be really interesting to see how BlizzCon plays out. Last year, BlizzCon was a mess considering the whole Diablo Immortal and showing that off, and that didn't sit very well with a lot of people. I think if they even try to show anything about Diablo Immortal at this year's BlizzCon, I personally think it's all going to hit the fan, and it's going to be real bad. They are not on solid ground, though. Now, how this will impact any of their other games, like the upcoming Call of Duty, who knows? But I will say, overall, it is disappointing that this event was being canceled, but it's clear that it would have been, there may have been some issues, especially with the whole Hong Kong protests going around, and it does sound like Nintendo is kind of distancing themselves from Activision Blizzard right now, especially the whole situation that's been really bad for them. And it's going to be really interesting to see how BlizzCon plays out, especially with this situation hanging over their heads and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 3, and this one has to do with supposedly rumors going around that that first images of a redesigned Sonic for the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog movie may have just been leaked. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My Two Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at supposedly rumors going around that Sonic may have gotten the redesign for the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Now, I'm sure most of you are aware, Paramount earlier this year released the trailer for their upcoming Sonic movie. Now, I don't have a lot of hopes on it, considering movies based off of video games don't exactly do 100% well, although from what I understand, Rampage somehow did very well, and of course, obviously, Detective Pikachu did well, but Sonic, well, not so. It doesn't seem like it got the best reception, and most people didn't like the most was the way Sonic was designed. It looked he looked bad. It just looked terrible. I don't disagree with people not liking the design at all. And even the series creator of Sonic the Hedgehog even weighed in on it as well, to the point that it reached that Paramount decided to go back to the drawing board and to redesign and fix Sonic and not only that, originally it was supposed to come out in November, but decided to push it back to basically, I think, February, although I hear now it could be pushed back to March. I have to take a look on that. But in either case, it seems as though we may have a good idea what the redesigned Sonic might look like, assuming these rumors or these leaks are true or anything like that. In an article from comicbook.wwg, it reads, quote, "This upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog film has largely been quiet following the reveal that it would undergo some significant changes, specifically design of Sonic himself, other than director Jeff Fowler, Fowler, basically confirming that it was happening. Nobody's seen head nor hair of the actual redesign until now. Some art, what could be the new Sonic design, has surfaced online, and it's closer to the original character than before. The alleged redesign has been circulating online since at least yesterday, and it seems to show off some licensed art of the character. They point out, as you see below, and it's basically comes from a tweet by someone who goes by the name of Best in the Galaxy, and supposedly this person claims that he knows someone who works at Paramount. It points out there's some significant changes to Sonic's eyes, hands, chest, and ears, and potentially his shoes. As much as the first version of the film designed differently from what fans might be used to, the new one hems far closer to the iconic look. It's currently unclear whether the new Sonic design has the same godforsaken teeth as the film's original. While it's unclear if this is the official redesign, if it is an elaborate fake, it's one that seems to line up with what we know about the upcoming redesign. For example, it was seemingly revealed that the new version of Sonic would in fact have gloves. Jim Carrey, who stars in the film as Dr. Robotnik, previously says he wasn't sure how to feel about the redesign process. "You become a Frankenstein monster at some point, right?" he said earlier this year. "I really don't concern myself with things once I did my thing. I'm not super concerned about it. It's going to happen how it happens. It's either going to be a good thing or a bad thing." Now, with the redesign leak, though, some have come down and sort of questioned it, and some consider it to be fake and all that stuff. And quite honestly, I don't blame them for looking at this. This does give the impression that this sounds too good to be true. And we've seen fake leaks before in the past, even nothing related to Sonic the Hedgehog movie, with video games in general. So, for all we know, this could be fake, and I wouldn't blame if it turns out to be that's the case. But at the same time, it could be true as well. And if this is the new redesign, assuming this is the redesign though, if it is true, then yeah, Sonic does look way better than what was shown in the trailer though. But whether or not that helps or saves the movie or not remains to be seen at this time. But my overall take on the Sonic redesign that supposedly is leaking online is this: until an official trailer comes out, and until there's an official confirmation to confirm that this leak is real, I'm currently right now leaning towards, and I kind of have to agree with a lot of people that are talking about this, I'm going to lean towards this being fake for now, though, okay? Maybe when Paramount releases another trailer, maybe we'll see the official redesign of Sonic. Maybe it won't look like this. So we'll have to wait and see, but for right now, I do kind of agree with what some people are saying, and I will kind of lean towards this being fake for the moment. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 4, and this one has to do with supposedly the version of the upcoming Tokyo Mirage Session Encore for the Nintendo Switch that, well, not everyone's going to be pleased about it, not to mention, Nintendo of Japan recently released a statement in regarding of this, though. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 4 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the situation in regards to the upcoming release of the Switch version of Tokyo Mirage Session. Now, back, I think, late during the Wii U era, I believe 2016 though, Nintendo and Aulx released the game Tokyo Mirage Session, which was a collaboration between, well, Aulx and Nintendo, but I think it was combining two franchises, I think the Shin Megami and the Fire Emblem series though. The game, unfortunately, although it got some good reviews, it didn't exactly sell very well. Most of it, some of it could be it was released at a time where, well, let's say the Wii U was not doing that great, to be exact. But another thing may have to do with one of the controversies that came out, and that was that some of the costumes or certain DLCs were removed from the Western release compared to where it was in the Japanese version. Not everybody was pleased with this, and it's been reported that even the game director was not happy with this, though. This has to do with some of the policy Nintendo has. While Nintendo has certainly taken a step forward in regards of censorship in terms of allowing third-party developers, you know what, whatever game you want to make, as long as it stays within the rating system, that's fine. Nintendo still has the history of censoring their own games to where it kind of gives the impression that they're kind of bending over backwards in the name of appealing to families and kids and so forth. And well, it looks like Tokyo Mirage Session caught in the middle of, well, let's just say a decision made by Nintendo that didn't sit well with everybody, and even Nintendo Japan had to respond to this, though. So, in an article on Nintendo Life magazine, it reads, though, and I'll get to the update part in a minute, when the original article came out on October 17th, it reads, Tokyo Mirage Session Fire Emblem Encore set to blaze its way onto the Nintendo Switch scene in January, and new details found out on Nintendo's official Japanese website shows that the game will be based off the censored version of the original title. When Tokyo Mirage Session, without the Encore, first released on Wii U in 2016, some of the game's more controversial elements were censored in the West. The change made from the Japanese version encouraged a particular upset group of fans to create their own patch, which removes the censorship, and the localization also initially was disappointed the game's co-director. Nintendo's website noticed that the new Switch version of the game is a worldwide release, which is based on the Western version of the Wii U game. Interestingly, this suggests that the Japanese version of the new title will also be censored, even though the Wii U game was left untouched in Japan for the first time around. Well, following that report, they updated it when it turns out that Nintendo has issued an official apology for its failure to thoroughly and accurately provide information on the upcoming Tokyo Mirage Session Fire Emblem and Encore. Japanese fans who pre-purchased the game will be entitled to a refund. And according to a statement released by Nintendo, and this is from their Japanese website, but it was translated thanks to, Google Translate, at least that's how they translate it, said, Dear customers, we apologize for the lack of information in the information given to the customers in advance of the notice of Fire Emblem Encore, dedicated software for the Nintendo Switch scheduled to release on January 17th, 2020. I don't know if that is just the Japanese date or not, but I'll have to double check that. The title adds a new element to the European version of Tokyo Mirage Session, released in 2016, of the Wii U exclusive software, released in Fire Emblem, released Phantom, I think IBUNROKU, released in 2015, and the world with a universal specification development is processed with the aim of simultaneously release. The language of the game can be enjoyed in Japanese. However, in the publicity of Fire Emblem Encore, it has not been announced from the beginning that this title is based off the Tokyo Mirage Session Fire Emblem. The game screen of the Wii U domestic version, which was not included in the title, was incorrectly posted, so the content of the title could be misunderstanding by the customers. Therefore, on October 10th, 2019, the game screen on the homepage was replaced, and on the 17th, we announced that the title based on was based on Tokyo Mirage Session Fire Emblem. We recognize the provision of the information was insignificant from the beginning. For customers who already booked and purchased Phantom Illusion Record Fire Emblem at Nintendo's eShop and My Nintendo Store and wish to cancel due to this issue, we will guide you through the process later on this page, and they'll have a link on all that stuff. So apparently, according to this, Nintendo, the Japanese fans who are looking forward to this game but were not told that this was the Western version are able to get a refund. And while it's certainly great that Nintendo is going to apologize about this and offer it, I still think this was a dumb move on their part nevertheless, though. I understand it's their game and all that stuff, and I understand if they could do, it's their policy and they could do what they want to, but I still think it's an idiotic and dumb decision for them to basically base it off of that version and not try to base it off the Japanese version. I mean, to me, it just gives the impression on them of, hey, we're bending over backwards for families and kids and all that stuff. And while there's nothing wrong with making games for families and kids, you gotta understand that video games are not the kids only product like they were back in the 80s and 90s. And I think it's kind of ridiculous that Nintendo is decided to release the Western version of Tokyo Mirage Session rather than the full-on like Japanese version and all that stuff. I mean, why not make some adjustments when you're pouring this over? Why not change the character's age or something like that? So I think it's a little ridiculous, though, that Nintendo decided to do this. Now, how big of an impact this could have when the game finally comes out, who knows? Maybe it might have an impact on the release of it. Maybe it won't. Some people might. We don't know how big of an impact it will have in the West or anything like that. But my overall take is that while I applaud Nintendo for offering refunds to Japanese gamers who were misinformed that this was the Western version, not the Japanese version, I still think it's ridiculous that Nintendo decided to go with the Western version of remaking Tokyo Mirage Session. I really think they need to stop with the whole, we need to bend over backwards in the name of families and kids and so forth. Excuse me. I applaud them for allowing third-party developers to allow them to put whatever content they want to put in the game and decide to take a hands-off approach to that. That's definitely better than it was back in the 80s and 90s. But I think Nintendo needs to stop trying to censor their own games or change it to basically appeal to, families and kids. I mean, video games are not the kids-only product anymore. Yes, kids and families still play video games, but it's not like it is during the 80s and 90s. And personally, I think it's utterly ridiculous that Nintendo decided to go this route in regards of Tokyo Mirage Session. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 5, and this one has to do with September's NPD. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 5 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the NPD for September, though. So, as always, the NPD came out, and it looks like there were certainly some good news for Nintendo, but also some third-party developers, though. The first one for Nintendo is that it seems as though that the Nintendo Switch managed to outsell the Xbox One and PS4 in September. Not to mention, it reported that the Switch had sold more than 15 million consoles in the US, so it seems to be still doing very well. As far as accessories, it points out that sales of accessories and game cards have fallen 2% when compared to a year ago to 2.6 billion, but it turns out the amiibos are still doing great. Interactive game toy sales jumped more than 8 times. Excuse me. 8 times when compared to September 2018. This was driven by the growth of Smash Bros. Sales 1 amiibos and Link Awakening Series 1 amiibo. So it looks as though at least the amiibo seems to be doing well, and Nintendo hitting the 15 million mark with the Nintendo Switch, at least in the US, obviously is great for them, though. It's still continuing to do very well. it's going to be interesting to see what position Nintendo will be once the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Scarlet comes out. It's going to be really interesting to see what kind of position that Nintendo will be in. Over in the software side, it looks as though for September, the big winners obviously were NBA 2K20, despite some of the controversies, especially with the microtransaction, and Borderlands 3 continues to do very well. In terms of software, looks like the top 20 games for September were number 1, NBA 2K20, number 2, Borderlands 3, number 3, FIFA 20, number 4, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, number 5, Madden NFL 20, number 6, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint, number 7, Gears 5, number 8, Code Vein. Nice to see that game on there as well. I've been playing a little bit of that. Number 9, NHL 20. Number 10, Mario Kart 8. Number 11, Minecraft. Number 12, Grand Theft Auto 5. Number 13, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Number 14, Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Some of that could be possibly the Switch version and so forth. Number 15, Red Dead Redemption 2. Number 16, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Number 17, Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville. Number 18, Marvel Spider-Man. Number 19, Kathlina, if I'm saying the name, I apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly. And number 20, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So Microsoft got one of their games on the top 20, Gears 5. As far as Sony goes, it looks as though Marvel's Spider-Man is still hanging on in there, and Nintendo managed to get Link's Awakening at number 4, Mario Kart 8 at number 10, Smash Bros. At Ultimate at number 13, and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is at number 20. So not bad for Nintendo though. Obviously, Gearbox and 2K must be happy with NBA 2K20 and Borderlands 3 doing very well for them, so they must be pleased with that. As far as the top best-selling games so far, right now it looks as though it seems as though Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the only Nintendo or first-party game on this list. Otherwise, NBA 2K is at number 1 with Mortal Kombat 11 at number 2 and Borderlands at number 3. Although it looks like Resident Evil 2 2019 is still in there at number 9. As far as the best-selling games for the last 12 months, again, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the only one on that list. At number 3, the only first-party game, though, with obviously Red Dead Redemption Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 1, and Call of Duty Black Ops 4 at number 2. Although Borderlands 3 just made it onto the list at number 6 as the best-selling game for the last 12 months. Over at Xbox One, the 10 best-selling games, Gears 5 enters in at number 3, and unfortunately that's the only first-party title out there. Otherwise, Borderlands 3 is the number 1 best-selling game for the Xbox One. Over at the PS4, though, Marvel Spider-Man is basically the only first-party game on that list at making it at number 8. Otherwise, NBA 2K20 is the number 1 best-selling game, with Borderlands 3 at number 2. And finally, over to the Nintendo Switch. Interestingly enough, two third-party games are on this list. Spyro Reignited Trilogy, obviously, that entered in at number 4, despite the whole required download issue. And Dragon Quest S Echoes of an Exclusive Age entered in at number 7, though. The Square Enix one, which also was, I think, published by Nintendo. Otherwise, Link's Awakening is at number 1, Mario Kart 8 at number 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at number 3, as I mentioned, Spyro Reignited Trilogy at number 4, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at number 5, Super Mario Maker 2 at number 6, Dragon Quest Echo of an Exclusive Age at number 7, Astro Chain at number 8, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe at number 9, and Super Mario Party at number 10. So I think the takeaway from this is obviously 2K must be pretty happy because NBA 2K20, despite the whole microtransaction controversy, seems to be doing very well. And Borderlands 3, despite the whole issues that we had this year with the whole controversy surrounding Gearbox and Randy Pitchford, seems to be hitting very well for them. Doesn't seem to have impacted the game in a negative way as it continues to do very well. To me, I've been playing Borderlands 3 as well. Enjoy the game. It's more Borderlands, whether you like it or not. That comes down to your preference and your taste. And obviously, the Switch is continuing to sell very well for Nintendo and continues to do very well. How well it will do by the time the PS5 and Xbox Scarlet comes out, it's still an open question at this time. We'll have to wait and see what kind of impact, if those systems will have any kind of impact on the Nintendo Switch. It may have an impact on it, or it may be like what we saw during the Wii, PS3, and 360 era, where it didn't really have any impact on it at all. So we'll have to wait and see how it turns out, or if Nintendo is going to release the so-called rumor Switch Pro, which I'll have a interesting story that apparently in part 6 of my 2 cent that I'm going to talk about. That may be all about that as well. But overall, 2K is pretty happy with NBA 2K and Borderlands 3. Nintendo's got to be pleased with some of their games, including Link's Awakening doing very well, and the Switch selling, I believe, 15 million in the US. So that's good. We'll be waiting to see what October's NPD is going to be like as well. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 6. And this one has to do with possibly Nvidia working on a brand new chip for the Nvidia Shield, which in theory could give us an idea of what a Switch Pro or Switch.to or Switch revision could be like. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our sixth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and this one has to do with rumors that Nvidia is going to be showing off their supposedly revised version of the Nvidia Shield with a brand new, possibly what is apparently could be a new Tegra X1 processor. Now, as some of you are aware, though, when the Nintendo Switch was officially revealed, we learned that Nvidia was providing a chipset that will power the Nintendo Switch, and basically we learned that it's based off the Tegra X1, off the second generation of the Maxwell chipset. And although a lot of the games on the Switch that we've seen so far may not be as powerful as what we've seen on the PS4 or Xbox One, some of them have been pretty impressive, especially seeing games like Doom, Wolfenstein 2, and just the recent release of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt on the Nintendo Switch. Yes, there are certain limitations of it, but the fact that they could bring these games over is pretty impressive. Now, we've heard rumors about a Switch Pro and all that stuff. We've heard rumors about the Switch Mini, which turned out to be the Switch Lite, but there have been talks about the Pro going back and forth. One of those is considered to be the idea that Nintendo supposedly is going to dump the whole, basically make it a console only and all that stuff, which I'm not entirely convinced about that one. Well, recently there's now reports showing of what could be in the upcoming new revised version of the Nvidia Shield, which may give us an idea what direction Nintendo might be going if a Switch Pro or Switch.to or a true revised version of the Nintendo Switch does happen. In an article on Nintendo Life, though, it reads, the rumor is that Nvidia's next new Tegra X1 Plus chip could make the Switch perform up to 25% faster. It reads, quote, and again, the article link will be in the description of this video. In June, there were rumors the new Nvidia Shield device, now known as Nvidia Shield TV Pro, could potentially share the same chipset as the rumored Pro model Switch. With less than a few weeks to supposedly go until Nvidia's latest product is released, a now removed Amazon listing has revealed much more about this device. 9 to 5 Google reported that this new model of the Shield is essentially under change in terms of design and dimensions, and still includes the same ports and optional stands. As for the technical specifications, though, there are a couple of changes. Most notably is the new Tegra X1 Plus processor that describes as being up to 25% faster than the standard X1 chip in the existing Switch model. They write out what it was an expert from the Amazon listing before it was deleted. The Amazon expert at that time read, Shield TV is a high-performance streaming media player, now up to 25% faster with the new Tegra X1 Plus processor. Enjoy Netflix, Prime Videos, and VUDA. I don't know what that is. Maybe they misspelled Hulu, but who knows. In stunning 4K with Dolby Vision, HDR, and Dolby Atmos, ATMOS, and Dolby Digital Plus surround sound. Upscale HD videos to 4K in real time using the power of AI and the Tegra X1 Plus processor. Tech website Notebook explains how Nvidia's ability to house the Tegra X1 Plus chip in the same Shield TV chassis suggests that the temperature TPI level will be similar to what they are now. This means that Nintendo theoretically has no problem running the chip in the standard Switch, Switch Lite, or a Rumor Pro model. Given that the first two are already available, it would mean that the yet as announced Pro model is most likely candidate to benefit from this approved silicon or this system on a chip. Now, I will say that if this rumor is true about this new Tegra X1 Plus that is basically going to be in the new Nvidia Shield, if Nvidia officially announces, though, I could see this chip sort of making their way over to the Nintendo Switch. And I think to some degree it could give us an idea of what direction Nintendo could go with the Nintendo Switch. Given the fact that they have a partnership as of right now with Nvidia that supposedly could last up to 2 decades, I could see where a Switch.to or Switch Pro could happen. We could see something that is possibly more powerful than the current original Switch. While I don't see it becoming as powerful as, like, say, a PS4 or Xbox One Scarlet, although anything could happen, though, I could see them going in that direction. I mean, if you look at, say, when the Nintendo has a history of revision of their handheld. I mean, look at, say, like the DS. So that you had the original bulky one, then you had the DS Lite before they settled in the more powerful DSi. 3DS went through several revisions until they settled on with the new 3DS, which was more powerful than the original Nintendo 3DS. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point down the road that the new Nintendo Switch, whether it's called Switch Pro or Switch.to or anything like that, I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like this, the Tegra X1 Plus, make its way in the new revision of the Nintendo Switch. I mean, I personally believe Nintendo will stick with the Switch design for a while, given how successful it is. I think the risk is that they could split the base, and that could be a bit of a problem if they try to do something like that. But I can't rule out the fact that we could see something like this make its way over to a future Nintendo Switch. So, and I could see something like that, a more powerful version, a Nintendo Switch that is more powerful than the current one right now. And I think that's where I see where if a redesigned Switch or a new Switch comes out, that's the direction Nintendo is going to go with it, though. Again, nothing's been confirmed at this time. Right now, the rumor is pointing to this being on the new Nvidia Shield Pro, so we haven't heard anything at this time. But I will say overall, I would not be surprised if a new Nintendo Switch happens. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear something like the Tegra X1 Plus going into this new Nintendo Switch. It's possible it could be that, it could be something different, or Nvidia could provide something that is a truly custom-made chip designed specifically for the Nintendo Switch only, given the success the Switch has had. But I wouldn't rule this one out. I wouldn't completely rule out the idea that a Tegra X1 Plus chip that is rumored to be in this Nvidia Shield could one day make its way in a version of the, or a revised version of the Nintendo Switch. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cents video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about CD Projekt Red's comments in regards of Cyberpunk 2077, if it will ever come to Nintendo Switch? Do you think it's unlikely that Cyberpunk 2077 will come to the Nintendo Switch? Do you think it's never going to happen? Or do you think that do you think it's possible they still might bring it over? Do you think they probably are going to wait to, or they're probably waiting to see how well The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt does on the Nintendo Switch? What are your thoughts about the decision to cancel this event in terms of promoting Overwatch for the Nintendo Switch? Do you think Blizzard did the right thing to do this, though? Were you looking forward to this event in any way? Do you think this has to do with the whole Hong Kong protest situation that has been playing out, that has really kind of been an embarrassment to Activision and Blizzard? What are your thoughts about this redesign of Sonic? Do you think this redesign is real, or do you think this is fake in any way? What are your thoughts about the version of Tokyo Mirage Session that Nintendo will release, which is based off the Western version? Is this a big deal for you? Does this in any way cancel your pre-order at all? Do you think some people are blowing it way out of proportion? What are your thoughts about the NPD for September? Do you think, or were you surprised by these results? Were you not surprised at these results at all? Are you pleased to see the Nintendo hit? I think it's 15 million in the US. And do you think Nintendo can keep that momentum going even when Sony and Microsoft eventually release their next generation systems? And what are your thoughts about this rumor about the new Nvidia Shield having a new Tegra X1 called the Tegra X1 Plus? Is this something that will interest you? Are you considering picking up a Nvidia Shield Pro in any way? And could you see this chip make its way on a future Nintendo Switch, whether it's the Switch.to or Switch Pro in any way? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think, and I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!